Tim Whitworth, not new to basketball, just new to Holy Spirit, as Tim played at Drexel, then played overseas as well, and now he's going to be the Holy Spirit girls basketball coach. Tim, welcome to the South Jersey Sports Report. How are you, pal?
Good, Pete. How are you? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I'm doing really well, thank you. And I see the Genie box is working correctly. You're coming fresh off a little stint with Stockton. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes. So I was at Stockton for 2 years prior to this. Was really appreciative of the opportunity from Coach Scott Bittner. Learned a lot under him and had a lot of fun doing it.
Well, I also see from your CV, that's what they use for the fancy word for resume, right? That you're a Philly guy,
right, yeah.
Right? Went to Drexel, Chestnut Hill Academy. The big thing that jumps out to me for Chestnut Hill Academy is, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that directly across from the Wissahickon Skating Club where young Pete Thompson tried to learn how to do backwards crossovers?
Yes, it is. You're right about that. Didn't spend too much time there. A lot of my time was spent in the basketball gym, but my brothers and I all went to Chestnut Hill Academy. Extremely appreciative of my parents for that opportunity. They sacrificed a lot. My father, remember driving us to school every morning, and he on his way to Center City, he'd be dropping us off, and it was just a tremendous experience I had there, and really played for a wonderful high school coach there, and just had a great experience there.
So Drexel University is where you chose to do your college career. Drexel University, where you chose to do your college career. And tell me a little bit then about playing Philly basketball as opposed to going away. A lot of high school kids want to go away and get out of town. You got to get away from your folks. And yet you decided, wait a second, I want to stay right where we're at.
Yeah, I come from, I'm one of five, and we're a big family, really tight-knit group, and I really wanted to be close to my family. I played, 3 of my 4 years at Chestnut Hill Academy, my older brother, and he was playing at Textile at the time, and finished his career at Holy Family, and then had younger brothers who were still playing, wanted to watch those guys, and was a bit of a mama's boy, I guess you could say. Came home every Sunday. She took care of us, fed us, and did the laundry and all those good things.
You go overseas. Tell me about that experience, too, because I'm working with a guy, Tom Petrowski. Now, he's a LaSalle guy. Don't hold that against him. But he also had some overseas. He had a little time in the NBA, but then he spent some time overseas as well. That has to be a whole culture shock for you. You're the American.
Yeah, it was an experience in itself. Like I said, I didn't go. I probably went further for college than I did for high school. To then hop on a plane and have no idea where you're going. It was pretty difficult. Fortunately, I had a couple of buddies that had played prior, and I had reached out to those guys. And I'll never forget, my one buddy said, circle 21 days in your calendar. And he told me, as you go through, once you hit that 21st day, things will start to get a little bit easier for you. But those first couple weeks, I was ready. I was ready to get back on that plane and go home. But once I hit that 21st day, it was pretty much smooth sailing, and I had a tremendous experience over there. Just the opportunities I was given, and the people I met, the relationship I formed. I met my wife over there. My kids are born over there. So it was just the basketball has been great to me. And I really loved the entire experience over there.
Let's see if I can rattle them off here. Austria, Holland, Sweden, Finland, Luxembourg, big country there, right? Hungary, and Spain.
That's correct. So of them all, I guess, I wouldn't say I'm forced to, but Sweden holds a special place in my heart. That's where my kids are born. That's where my wife's from. And it just a really an awesome place to live, and everybody was super helpful, a lot of English, and it was just an easy place to live, and we still go back. Kids are there every summer with my wife, and it's just a really great place and a great country.
We're spending some time with Tim Whitworth. He's the new Holy Spirit girls basketball coach, but former Drexel Dragon and professional player overseas, including Sweden. It's funny you mentioned that, Tim, because I had a high school friend of mine. His wife worked for IKEA, and so they sent them overseas, and they spent 2 years in Sweden, and they still go back, or they still talk. When they came back to the States, they brought some of the trends and tendencies over there. All of a sudden they had young kids, so they had to have it all paired. That's not normally something you see people in the States have, but in Sweden that was just accepted. That's how you do it.
That's right. Yep. The Swedish meatballs in IKEA, I highly recommend it.
So tell me a little bit then, because you mentioned your family briefly, and I went too fast to get over to Europe, and I wanted to find out, coaching is really, and basketball is in your blood from your mother too, right? Coach at Nazareth Academy and her experience?
Correct. Yeah, my mother was a coach at Nazareth Academy for, over 20-some years, had a lot of success there, and, that's really the main thing for me is that my brothers and sisters and I, we kind of grew up in a high school gym at Nazareth Academy. My father was working really hard and supporting the family, and my mom was a basketball coach, and I'll never forget us going into the coach's office, making sure we got our homework done so we could go out and run out and shoot some jump shots on the side baskets or learn something from watching them. So really just had just an awesome experience growing up in that environment. And when I thought about this job, obviously I know it's a huge time commitment, not only for myself, but, for my wife and puts a lot more responsibility on her shoulders. But at the same time, the family feeling over at Holy Spirit was really what sold me. And the fact that my kids would be able to experience what I did growing up really just made it all the more comforting. And also I can't forget, my father who I work for, he willing to allow me to pursue this opportunity, understanding that, there'll be a little bit of time commitment there, especially during those winter months, a little bit here in the summer.
What's that like, having a mother that's so well known in the coaching community and so respected? I mean, I have one friend. I'm friends with Mike Rush, who had an interesting set of parents because his father Ed was an NBA official and his mother Kathy coached the Mighty Macs. So I mean, that's a pretty power couple to grow up in. What's it like when your mother is like the winningest high school girls basketball coach and just is dictating that path day in and day out?
I think it was tough for all my coaches, to be honest with you, because they're always looking over their shoulder, wondering if they're getting my mother's approval. But no, she was great. She pushed us. It was it wasn't that the game was pushed on us. We just grew up around it, and she worked us, and I'm going to see if I can maybe get her to come over and give us a little pointers this winter, but I'm afraid the girls might be running and hiding if they find her walking in the gym. She was tough on us, and she wanted to get the best out of us, and we thank her for that.
So tell us
the other person. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please. I continue.
The other person I'd like to mention is my uncle also, he's been coaching at Gwynedd Mercy Academy for the last couple of years now, but he's been coaching girls basketball for over 30 years now. And I'm not quite sure, but I think he's closing in on his 700th career victory pretty soon. May happen this winter. Hopefully we can schedule something and he doesn't get it against us.
That's the important thing, right? Yeah, go ahead and get it. Just get it against anybody but me. So good. You've answered a couple questions. One, your mother will make an appearance at some point, and maybe the girls won't even understand how significant it is to have that woman in the house. But two, you will. And tell me a little bit about the Spirit program and what you think you're inheriting there and what you expect.
So I think, I'm inheriting a program that, we're gonna be in the building process here. I think, there's gonna be some patience. Anytime there's a coaching change or there's, a new voice that they're hearing, there's going to be some challenges with that. But my thing is that I want it to be as smooth as possible for the girls and just really, get back to the basics of basketball. I'm really big on the skill development side and player development. I think, if you can make each and every one of your players better, I think the team has no choice but to get better on a daily basis. But we've got, I'm really happy about, I met the girls earlier this week and happy about I have about 5 seniors that I really want to make sure they're sent off the right way and they really have a great last experience at Holy Spirit and can have a nice little close to their career.
And what style would you describe the Tim Whitworth style of basketball? What kind of game do they play, or will you want them to play?
So I wouldn't say I'm married to any type of style. a lot of it is going to be predicated upon what I have. Unfortunately, I haven't really seen the girls much, though I'll have the opportunity to do that this summer. But I'm big on, as mentioned, skill development side. And then also, I think the game teaches you a lot. I know I grew up playing on the playground, and I think that was invaluable because the things I learned through, I worked on the skills, and then to be able to apply that in that setting. Unfortunately, I don't think that happens that often anymore. So there'll be a lot of competition, a lot of play in practice. But also, with that being said, I'm also big on the fundamentals of the game, and that's what interests me about the girls' game. I really believe that, the guys' game is, a lot of guys can get away with relying on their athleticism, where the girls' game, sure, there's some very good athletes, but I think you really fundamentally, if you're sound and I can draw up the greatest play in the world, but if a girl can't make a shot or make a layup, then we're in trouble. So that's why I really believe in the skill development.
That old John Wooden quote, right? The purest form of the game being played is being played by the girls. That's what he said at one point in time. If I'm paraphrasing, right. I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. No, and I couldn't agree more with that.
Well, Tim Whitworth is now part of the Holy Spirit family, and, of course, in that family, there's a couple things on my to-do list. One, first of all, when you were talking about the process of speaking with the Holy Spirit, Joe Watson can sell ice to an Eskimo, so I think he had you from the minute you said, sure, I'll meet with you, so you had no chance there. But I'm sure the Spartans are thrilled to have you. Coming up, the Bill Walsh third annual Past, Present, and Future Alumni Flag Football Tournament. That's Saturday, June 22nd at Ed Burns Stadium in Holy Spirit High School. And compete under the lights. It's fun for the whole family. Food, beverages, music, raffle, and prizes. A lot of former alumni come back. $25 per player registration. You can find out more information at WalshiesWarriors.com. That's Walshie's website. And, of course, I've been around here long enough to know Bill Walsh personally, know him well. And his fight continues against ALS, so we hope a lot of people come out and support that. I know you're new to that, Tim, but Bill Walsh is the epitome of class and a lifelong spirit warrior, Holy Spirit warrior for sure, and we're thinking of him. And then you have a new principal, too. Thomas Farron is coming from St. Joe Prep. That's in your old neck of the woods there in Philly. Yes, it is. Yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about him. And just, Holy Spirit in general, they've really got some really great people over there. I obviously like to thank Steve Romaine, Jason Downey, and Father Perry. And as you mentioned, Joe Watson, he's just been tremendous. Reached out to me, and it's just, they've been so welcoming since the day that it was announced that I was going to coach the girls. And, everybody has reached out to me from AJ Russo to Jamie Gillespie, all these guys, anything they could help with. Dennis Smith, anybody in that building, they've all been willing to lend a helping hand, and I'm super appreciative and thankful for that. Now, Dennis Smith has been in your position, so I want to see if if the volcano blows for Tim Whitworth the way it did occasionally for Dennis Smith when he was in that role. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. You might have to wait a long time for that. Yeah, you're very patient. I see that you've coached youth before, so this will not be a stretch for you, even though you're coming from the college men's game. Now Tim Whitworth is going to be the new Holy Spirit girls basketball coach. Tim, we sure appreciate you giving us a few minutes here on the South Jersey Sports Report, and welcome to the Spartan program, buddy. Pete, thank you very much for your time. Hey, before I go, would you mind giving me one of your famous dirt calls? Oh, absolutely. Tim Whitworth is going to take his keys and throw them dirt behind the bleachers if those girls turn the ball over one more time. Gosh darn it. You got it, buddy. Thank you very much. Good stuff. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you in person, my friend.